Flo Milli dropping her newest album. You still here, ho? This past Wednesday, and a lot of places are saying this is her like first proper debut album.
Correct.
Um, Ho, why is you here in 2020? To me, is like the first time I was really like introduced to her,
Yeah, the debut mixtape.
and obviously, I think in my mind that's her debut, but
Sure.
people are gonna use the semantics of what's a mixtape nowadays. I think not only does this continue the things that made her great on Ho, why is you here, but
Yeah.
it actually elevates a lot of it. And I was
Mm,
really impressed. The first half of this album, I think, is really really exciting with a lot of tone switch ups and beat like uniqueness, but then the second half started to feel a little bit samey to me, and so I
uh-huh.
found myself losing a little bit of interest. But I was really pleased with this.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's more polished and expensive
Yeah,
sounding, appearing, but also not completely polished. It's not. She's not a final product yet, which is
no,
totally cool. Obviously, she hasn't been at this all that long. Someone who came into where she is now due to genuine TikTok success during the early days of TikTok, or at least the version of TikTok that no longer exists anyway. And yeah, I mean, in terms of the debut tape, which we liked a lot when it came out in 2020. I mean, some people liked it. I think a little more than us because Rolling Stone put it on their top 500 best hip hop albums of all time, which I think is a bit of a take. I like it a
yeah,
lot, but I don't know how you can really justify that tape's like place in hip hop.
no,
Um, that's not Flo Milli's fault. She didn't put herself on that list, so don't take it the wrong way. But that was a funny note, I think, with that list, which that list has a lot of things going on with it too. That's hardly the most egregious thing on there. Um, so yeah, you have this debut album, which kind of came out of nowhere. She had like some loose singles recently, relatively recently, like Roaring Twenties, which popped up on Here's a Bonus Track, and I think she released one other song like in the last week or two. But I wasn't actually expecting this coming this soon. Nonetheless, I definitely agree that it, especially in the beginning, I think there's some really kind of like the song structures are just a bit more advanced now where like her signature flow, she switches it up more on this. At the end of the day, she can feel a little samey, like a samey like filler Flo Milli track, but you kind of know what that sounds like now. You kind of know her
Mhm.
like most familiar flow to her, probably her most comfortable way to rap, but she doesn't always do that. And sometimes those songs can like really bubble up and sound quite appealing. uh I do think it's interesting that probably the most talked about song to this point, which is about towards the end actually, would be Big Steppa, which has a wild ass beat, and Flo
Mhm.
Milli really sounds great on it. And then you look it up, you're like, oh wait, this is a Dr. Luke beat. What's going on with that?
Yeah,
But it's a good song.
yeah, yeah. It's hard to sometimes sit with the fact that bad people can make good art. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely tough. But yeah, I agree. I think that beat is pretty great, and I think that song in general is probably one of my favorites in the back half. In that first half, though, I thought that first three song run or four song run, Come Outside, Bedtime, Hottie, and Conceited, actually
Mm.
even PBC, I thought were all really really strong, and really like varying, right? Like Bedtime has a little bit of like a, I don't even know, like a Middle Eastern, almost like get your freak on type feel to it in a sense. But then a couple of these are just like thumpers, right?
Yeah.
Like Conceited has that like almost like grimy, like kind of just like spindly feel to it. PBC is an absolute thumper. Like really love that. I just was really impressed with this first run, and then like you
Mm.
said, that second half you kind of get into more of the like, oh, this is a Flo Milli track, and it's just kind of like a regular like mid level Flo Milli track, but still. I think she's elevated herself to the point where even when it's a filler track like that, there's still some interesting moments you can find.
Right. Well, I think something that's nice about the music she's made to this point is she really always keeps it high energy. You know,
Yeah,
whether it's some she's more serious or it's really light, really fun, just stunning, whatever it is. The energy, the banger quality or banger nature is often present. So Yeah, I think it doesn't necessarily change my opinion of Flo Milli, but it doesn't, I'm still enthusiastic about her and looking forward to hearing more music from her. This is truly like that first like really properly incubated like major label rap album from her. So um, in a sense, it's like just more confirmation that there's more good stuff to come. I don't see how you could think anything else. I kind of wanted more from Payday with Rico.
I was
Um,
gonna say
that's not their first
disappointing.
song together either, but I've never really loved any of their collaborations. You'd think they would kind of be two peas in a pod because they're both very unique personalities, but also do really high energy rap. Um, and maybe Rico could bring something even a bit more atypical and abnormal out of Flo Milli, one would hope, but it didn't really seem to work out there.
Yeah, I agree. Just real quick, I usually skip through intros and outros and skits nowadays, unless it's really like a album I want to like get the understanding of why. Having New York from I Love New York do the outro really caught my attention. It just
Yeah,
made me
and the
laugh.
intro.
Thought that was pretty awesome. So shout out to her. But yeah, Flo Milli, I think an artist that we continue to monitor on the rise.